Leaders need good protection. In today's video, we'll talk about the most guarded heads of state and see what their security services are capable of. Kim Jong Un. During his visit to South Korea, North Korean leader Kim Jong Un traveled in a motorcade of armored Mercedes cars. 12 bodyguards ran behind the limousine, surrounding the vehicle on the sides and behind. It looked a little strange and funny. Let's not hide the fact that usually, the car of a country's leader is accompanied by a motorcade of motorcyclists. Even more often, the car travels without an additional escort, since it is already armored. However, in Kim's case, everything is different. The North Korean leader is truly very concerned about his safety and therefore prefers foot guards, since they don't need to be distracted by driving a motorcycle and can focus all their attention on their life and health. Kim, who prefers to have as many people as possible take care of this, is protected by 15,000 personal bodyguards. Of course, not all of them follow him in a crowd at the same time, but the numbers are very telling. In addition, Kim has a personal guard, the so-called Security Command and Boschtat, which numbers 120,000 people. They not only protect the leader, but also defend Pyongyang. This is a real army. Why does he need so many guards? The fact is that there were dozens of attempts on his father and grandfather's lives, so it's not surprising that Kim is very attentive to his own security. Recep Tayyip Erdoğan, the president of Turkey, also knows a thing or two about personal security. His personal guards are not only in huge motorcades rushing through the streets at terrifying speeds, illuminating their way with flashing lights. Among those responsible for Recep Tayyip Erdoğan's security also includes snipers monitoring everything from above and ready to open fire at any moment. A dangerous person for the president might suddenly appear on the horizon. By the way, do you think all heads of state prefer armored executive cars? No, Erdoğan sometimes travels in a presidential bus. Of course, with a motorcade and even shooters on the roof, it would be an impressive vehicle, and not only that, it doesn't fall on turns. And the president himself, with his wife, hides behind thick armored glass, which prevents Turkish citizens from getting in. He probably thinks this method of travel is safer. Shinzo Abe is the youngest Japanese prime minister in history. Shinzo Abe is essentially the head of state, despite the fact that this country retains the status of a constitutional monarchy. The elderly Emperor Akihito performs only ceremonial functions. It's enough to compare his security. With the Prime Minister's security, everything immediately becomes clear. Senator for both of them, he travels with a long, pressed-up map of brand-new armored vehicles, accompanied by personal security. And if he needs to drive on a busy highway, security literally leans out of the windows to ask other cars to slow down and let the Prime Minister pass, and there are no road closures. Remember the bodyguards who ran after Kim Jong Un's car at the very beginning of the video? It seems strange, but there is a tradition in Japan too. Although here, such behavior by the guards is at least understandable. It's unlikely that several motorcycles and the Prime Minister himself could fit inside the car on a narrow street. Elizabeth II, despite the fact that the Queen of Great Britain, like the Emperor of Japan, is not the ruler of the country, is regularly spending huge sums of money on her security. It's no coincidence that assassination attempts on the Beta II occur with alarming frequency. Therefore, the Queen, more than anyone else, needs reliable protection within the confines of Buckingham Palace. Guardsmen on duty day and night are responsible for this. And when the Queen is killed, she leaves her dodent and does not do so without an escort, including the police and personal security, and for good reason. For example, in 2011, 2 British teenagers threw eggs at the Queen's Rolls-Royce. One of them hit a woman, and another hit the car's window. Fortunately, no one was injured, and the violators of the royal peace were quickly detained. However, attacks can be more serious, and that's why the Queen is always accompanied by bodyguards. Alpha Condé. So, it's time to look at Africa and African politicians. For example, a man named Alpha Condé has been president of Guinea since 2010, and despite an assassination attempt in 2011, he doesn't seem to be planning to hide inside an armored car. Here he stands, waving to his citizens, and seems to be afraid of nothing. However, the impression of the state leader's openness is somewhat spoiled by the presence of 10 motorcyclists at the front of the column and a bunch of bodyguards ready for any action. jump out of the cars, and several military trucks. No, seriously, just look at how many of them there are. Donald Trump, they say, long before he was elected US president, when Donald Trump was a simple billionaire, he now has a personal security detail consisting only of former Secret Service agents and Navy SEALs, the elite Special Forces unit. It's no surprise that when it came to the inauguration, the presidential motorcade was accompanied by a rather impressive crowd of agents. According to CNN, even before Trump took office, the crane for the president-elect and his family cost New York City authorities more than $1 million a day after that. The amount certainly hasn't decreased, and you know, when you're talking about that kind of money, you can afford motorcades of any length, as well as any number of Secret Service agents as security. Look at them. These guys clearly know what they're doing, by the way, besides security. Every high-ranking American politician receives a call sign from the Secret Service. Donald Trump is quite predictable. They called him a tycoon, and his wife, Melanie, is apparently a muse for secrecy. Vladimir Putin is responsible for the security of the President of the Russian Federation. The Federal Protective Service, FPS, is a powerful, and the most secretive intelligence agency in modern Russia. Official data on the number of its personnel is completely classified. Some data, unfortunately, cannot be verified. Today, about 50,000 agents are engaged in presidential security and other high-priority tasks. These people not only accompany Putin everywhere during his trips, but also ensure that the streets along which the president will travel are as safe as possible for him. Despite the long list of powers and responsibilities, the FPS's main task remains the protection of the so-called number one target. To date, the agent has already managed to prevent several assassination attempts. The head of state, but any details of these operations are still not available to the general public. Xi Jinping is responsible for the security of the top leadership of the PRC, including Chairman Xi Jinping. The Central Security Bureau of the Communist Party of China is responsible for the security of the top leadership of the PRC, including Chairman Xi Jinping. The total number of employees and fighters exceeds 8,000 people in 7 functional groups, each of which performs specific functions. To become a security agent, you must pass a rigorous selection process. The main criteria are political reliability, physical fitness, educational level, and strict discipline. But even despite such an impressive army of trained bodyguards, there are rumors that Xi Jinping is constantly raising the standards for his personal security guards. They must have more than 6 years of political and professional training in a special bodyguard unit and also have at least 8 kills. Firearms, and in particular the ability to easily hit a target by firing with both hands simultaneously. Each guard always carries 3 different pistols, 2 knives, and 1 packet of smoke powder, all for the sake of the Secretary General's safety. It's no wonder they look so stern when they're escorting the leader's car. By the way, have you noticed the open doors of other cars? It looks like other agents are hiding inside, ready to respond to danger at any moment. After all, according to some sources, the number of Xi Jinping's personal security guards is no less than 12. Alassane Ouattara has held the post of President of the Republic of Côte d'Ivoire since 2011. He is a well-known political figure in this country, but we certainly won't discuss the correctness of his decisions on a national scale. It's better to look at Alassane's guards. Like any head of state, the President of Côte d'Ivoire is accompanied by police officers on motorcycles. The car moves in a motorcade. However, we like these agents riding on the steps the most. It seems they are responsible for the security of the president, who is waving affably to the crowd from the car's hatch. Roman, despite the fact that the Pope is, after all, a clergyman, he is also the head of the state. Batik on a party can, in turn, be considered a full-fledged state, and everyone has probably heard of its security. The Swiss guards look too memorable. However, they are not participants in a theatrical performance, but real soldiers who serve to ensure the security of the sacred person of the Pope and his residence. They are trained, expressed, and know exactly what they are doing to maintain peace. As the head of the Catholic Church, the guards have to deal not only with curious tourists. Just look at the assassination attempt on Paul II that happened in 1981. Today, Francis occupies the position of pontiff, and he is much more open to the people than his predecessors. However, this does not mean that the sociable Pope does not need security to protect him. from various unpleasant surprises during visits to different countries. Bodyguards follow closely behind the Pope's mobile and not only guarantee the Pope's safety, but also help him communicate with his flock. If you want the Pope to bless your child as soon as possible, you'll most likely have to hand it over to a smiling guard. Francis is full of surprises and can decide to descend to the people at any moment. Can you imagine the stress for the security service? My friend, you want some new technology, and it's cool. You're already mentally in the future, you're thrilled by big cars, and can't imagine your life without robots.